Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. That was an alarmingly erotic voice, I will have to admit, but welcome, one and all, to round 3 of season 4 here in Formula Premiere. Consistency and domination has been the method towards Gupta's supremacy. But emerging from the shadows of his greatness, we have a new challenger, a new benchmark. And after second place in Australia and the victory around Miami, Slick emerges as the contender in season 4 to sweep away Gupta's domination of the past 3 seasons. It is the Aston Martin, the Green Machine's time to glitter. And as we stumble upon the circus of the circuit Gilles Villeneuve, we ready and we anticipate to immerse ourselves in the roller coaster ride that is ready to ensue. Apologies for the late arrival of this stream, but we are here for the Grand Prix. Slick took pole position, Slick took the sprint win, and Slick will look to make it 2 wins in the first 3 races of season 4. We have rain falling from above the sky, a race, the Canadian Grand Prix, which has been going for many, many years, largely on the calendar since 1978. We've had some incredible wet weather races. We have seen some incredible moments. Champions of before, champions of the present, and champions of the future have taken to this track and have embraced the challenge it holds. With rain falling and nerve increasing, the drama is ready to be displayed on this wondrous stage. Round 3, like I said, of season 4 of Formula Premiere. And after the sprints, the drivers know that of their raceability around this track. They've seen their 1-lap speed. They have seen longer running pace, but they have not raced in the wet around this track. They have not raced in the wet in season 4. It is going to be a challenge to overcome, but who can rise to it? Let's have a quick look at the grid while we're at it. Slick will start this race from the front. He will line up alongside Curtis Chaos, the Haas, registering his best start of the season. And Haas, who have looked strong in the hands of Curtis Chaos in the first couple of rounds, look to continue their form here at the circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Hydrant, our winner from the first race of the season, endured a torrid Miami Grand Prix. He starts on the second row, just ahead of Lucas in the Ferrari, who is now started in the top 3 in top 4, in all 3 races so far this season. Horridby 5th for Alfa Romeo, Pudge Dog 6th after second place in Miami, Bills 7th for Merck, a newcomer to this series. He looks to be showing his potential. Curdray 8th, Robbo Snipes 9th, and Gupta 10th. Yes, the champion of the last 3 seasons has struggled to get going in season 4, crashing out of contention in Australia, not participating last week in Miami, and has struggled so far this weekend here in Canada. The JLo 11th, Tabulet Storm 12th. Then we have Burton, Barney Dog, Axel, Revokes, the man that could have won the Australian Grand Prix 2 weeks ago. We have We the Best 17th for Haas. It's really, really great to see We the Best back in the thick of the action here in Formula Premiere. The hearts of the home crowd will be cast upon Horridby, who starts from 5th place. Starting from the 3rd row, he will be, well, if he can get a good start and if he can show his pace, he could be competing at the sharp end and following the footsteps of Gilles Villeneuve on winning on home turf. Villeneuve granting his first win in Formula 1 in 1978. Many have aspired to parallel that emotion, that feeling of winning as a Canadian on Canadian soil. Horridby will hope to join that exclusive list. The clock is ticking down. The nerves really will start to be taking over. And for the third time this season, we will be racing in Formula Premiere. I am Ben McCarthy, your commentator, by the way. I'll be taking you through the next 35 laps. So, get ready, strap in. What a ride it'll be. Seems like we will have a formation lap for the drivers to just get their tyres up to temperature, and Slick leads them away. They're all starting on intermediate tyres, so obviously it's not going to be initially a race of strategy intrigue, but if the track does dry up, it could be one riveting ride, and Slick is creating his own challenges. He is distancing himself from the dominance he endured and enjoyed around Miami. Pole sprint supremacy has been ticked off the list so far this weekend, but he has spun on the formation lap, and that is alarming. He's now going to have to read past Lucas, then Hydrant, then Curtis Chaos. The real-life Formula 1 rules about dropping back during the formation lap do not apply in Formula Premiere. Slick will be able to regain his pole position, but that is going to be a massive wake-up call for the man that looks to ooze confidence where others have been bereft of it. Axel has now been disqualified from the formation lap, so he's obviously had contact with someone on this reconnaissance lap to the grid. Unless Curtis Chaos will be the first driver to get to the grid, but he will not be starting this race from the very front. He takes a whole load of curb through the chicane. But the drivers are now joining the grid for the start of this Canadian Grand Prix. You can see there Horridby really drifting away with the rear of the car through the final couple of corners off the exits of the Wall of Champions. So then, the drivers emerging to the grid, ready to conceive what could be a mesmerising image of motor racing. From the shadows of domination emerges a title contender who has the speed, but does he have the measure of the rest? We will see in the next 35 laps of the Canadian Grand Prix, where it's lights out and away we go. Slick getting away from pole position. They're all struggling off the line, but the Aston Martin of Slick looks to retain his lead going into turn one. Horridby has had a mesmeric start. He looks to go down the inside. It seems like he's only up into P4, but it seems like there Horridby then making contact with other drivers. We have Pudge Dog spinning around. We have Curtis Chaos, who was tapped there through the exit of turn one. He's now dropped down into 16th place. Bills is passing Hydrant in the Red Bull. Oh, it looks like he may just be struggling. Robbo Snipes is another driver struggling around, and they're all thirsting for grip. The track is not coming to their liking, and the drivers are going in formation, trying to avoid each other and avoid calamity on the opening lap of this Canadian Grand Prix. Straight wide down this straight. Who's going to emerge ahead? Out of Robbo Snipes, Gupta, and Tablet Storm. And Burton, but it is Robbo Snipes who grants himself the position ahead of Tablet Storm and Burton. And Revokes then getting ahead of Barney Dog. They're going to race on towards the casino chicane. You can see Barney Dog braking miraculously late around the outside, and he's going to take the place from Revokes. A stellar move there from the Silver Arrow, who is now staring down the rear wing of Axel through the kink of turn 12, where he gets a lovely split stream there on Burton. They're going to run three wide provisionally. It looks like Axel has the place ahead of Barney Dog and ahead of Burton going into the chicane. Tapping the wall. Barney Dog losing his front wing. It looks like he's collided there with Pudge Dog. The yellow flag around the final sector. Curtis Chaos taking a place on his teammate after being spun out on this corner on the last lap. After starting from the front row, Curtis Chaos is reigniting his ambitions, and they start on lap 2 of 35. Meanwhile, out in front, Slick leads as he has done for much of this event. He leads out in front as Gupta gains a place then on Akerdre. The McLaren now up into P7. He's gained 3 places compared to his starting position. And as the track looks to start drying up, the McLaren, who has been devoid of success so far this season, looks to reclaim that ground. Slick though leading by 1.5 seconds. Lucas is P2, Bills is P3 for Merck. Then we have Hydrant 4th, for J-Lol 5th, Horrid B 6th, and Gupta then 7th. It seems like no one trying to make an impression going into the casino chicane. No driver will be able to utilise DRS in these damp conditions so far, but we can see Bills really starting to harry Lucas in the battle for P2. All but the rear end getting away from Bills, almost replicating the mistake Barney Dog made just a lap ago, but Slick publishing the quickest lap of the race so far, 1:21.7, as Excel already exceeding track limits an extortionate amount of times without getting a penalty, and 3 seconds has been added to his race time already on lap 3. Burton now has a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So for the AlphaTauri, that is a massive, massive hurdle already at the start of this race. An unwanted hurdle, and one that may just plague her progress. Slick leads by over 2 seconds with Lucas P2, Bills is P3, Hydrant P4, then we have the J-Lol 5th, Horrid B 6th, Gupta still 7th ahead of Akerdre and Robbo Snipes. Then we have Tabulate Storm P10 rounding out the points thus far. But Burton in the pits, and then coming out of the pits on brand new intermediate tyres, and just hoping to reclaim some form, reclaim some momentum in this race. After such a strong first race of the season for Burton, she was unable to attend in Miami, but she's back here at the circuit Gilles Villeneuve and wants to imprint her name along the gallery of success. Bills, with such an ultra fast final sector, is really closing in on Lucas, but without DRS his chances of overtaking the Ferrari are cut slightly. All the J-Lol and Horrid B now running side by side, the home favourite being fervently cheered on by his home crowd. He's granting himself the inside line going into turn 3, and he claims it. A landslide of elation arrives here at the circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Horrid B is back up into the top 5 as Gupta then taking the opportunity to pass the J-Lol. The McLaren, he is charged with enthusiasm, verve and vigour. He sweeps past the Ferrari, and his name is being thrown into the hat through every passing corner, through each and every lap. A shade of orange emerges. Hydrant struggling to keep hold of his 4th place at the moment. Horrid B has an interest down this long back straight towards turns 13 and 14. Look how close the Alfa Romeo is going to get towards the chicane, but it looks like Hydrant will just be able to hold on to that place, but then earns himself a time penalty for track limit infringements. He starts to race away from Horrid B down the start-finish straight, but he is still very vulnerable there as Robbo Snipes looking to take a place on his teammate Akerdre. It's blue on blue, Alpine on Alpine, and it's the Alpine in the hands of Robbo Snipes who seizes the upper hand. Akerdre down into 10th. He may just drop behind Axel, but not provisionally. Akerdre can start to eke out a gap if he's able to on the Alfa Romeo, who sits just outside the points. Curtis Chaos in P12. He remains in P12 after passing Wiedebest a couple of laps ago. But you can see a massive train starting to emerge behind Tabulate Storm. The McLaren not liking these conditions thus far. Having said that, he has passed Robbo Snipes and Akerdre in the last couple of laps, so he will start to show his speed on this tour and start to race away from the pair of Alpines. Axel getting so close to Akerdre, under braking off of the exit. He does not want to see that Alpine getting too distant from him, but he will be able to utilise the slipstream, however effective it is. It doesn't look like he is able to make an impression going into the final chicane. The exits, the rear end just stepping out from the Alfa Romeo, but running down the start-finish straight. He edges closer and closer, but not close enough to Akerdre. And P10 is still an endeavour, not a reality for Axel, putting down the power off of the exit of turn 2. He's not able to grab the place by the scruff of the neck just yet. But look how the rear of the car is just getting away from him, coupled also with a bit of understeer. And you would have thought Curtis Chaos would be ready to pounce, but the Alfa Romeo recovering just in time to maintain that final points-paying position. Slick though, assuming confidence, exuding dominance. So far in this race, he leads by over 4.5 seconds. Bills is still within 1 second of Lucas, but look at the way that the rear of the car gets away from him, and he recovers it just in time. But he is not at one with that Merc just yet. The rear is sliding away, and he's having to keep with measure and confidence that Merc on the track. Hydrant is starting to slash the gap he formerly had behind the Merc. He may just start coming alive in this race. The Red Bull, who was struggling earlier on, can now see the Merc rear wing growing ever larger ahead of him. You can see how tricky it is to overtake in the opening exchanges of this race. Going offline can compromise, well, going offline does compromise you, but particularly in these conditions where a line is not being formed offline, going offline could really cost you. It could end up with the driver heading off into the barriers, so reluctance to make a move are starting to show. But as the rain starts to, well, it's still very much in the air, but if it does ease, overtaking opportunities could come at an absolute plenty. Barney Dog now earning himself a time penalty alongside Robbo Snipes, but Slick now north of 5 seconds ahead of Lucas, and Bills now wants to be the man that runs behind the Aston Martin. It's the race towards turn 13. It's a mesmeric exit, and it is taking candy from a baby for Bills. The inside line is his, second place is his, and the shade of red that ran ahead of him now starts to fizzle away in his mirrors. Bills then up into second place after starting from the 4th row. He has had such a phenomenal start to this Canadian Grand Prix. Mercedes, who, let's be honest, had a bit of a torturous season 3, have started season 4 with promise, but not with outcome. P5 is their best finish so far this season, achieved last time out in Miami. Bills, though, could be taking them to the rostrum with this pace and this result. A long way to go still, though, but Bills is looking very solid. Lucas now having to contend with running behind another car. He will hope to keep as close as possible to Bills, but he now has a challenger in Hydrant forming right behind him. Hoythby is also within a second of Hydrant, and Gupta is joining this fight as well. So Gupta, after starting from P10, could just be starting to emerge as a contender for a podium finish. You see there Hoythby just avoiding the wall of champions. The famous wall that has claimed so many quality drivers and world champions through the years, particularly in 1999 when it earned his name, catching out Michael Schumacher, Gilles Villeneuve and Damon Hill in one single race. It has become the ultimate challenge, the immortalised challenge of this Canadian Grand Prix circuit, but that does a dishonour to this track, which has made challenge not only a task, but the activity in conquering this circuit. And at the moment, it is Slick that is doing just that. Nearly 6 seconds out in front, and the glare of greatness really does sparkle off that Aston Martin, doesn't it? And it seems like the rain is getting a little bit lighter, but there is still way too much rain to even consider switching to the dry tyres. But Hydrant thirsting a bit of grip off the exits of the casino hairpin. Hoythby gets a little bit closer to him, but the straight is not long enough to launch an ultimate challenge. Going into the chicane, he almost collides with him, and he's going to drop behind Gupta. The McLaren sails past, and for the Alfa Romeo, who spotted an opportunity, arrived with anticipation and left with desolation. Hydrants was there for the taking, but a misjudgment under braking has cost the Alfa Romeo dearly. He's now within the clutches of the J-Lol. So the man in P7 starting to think about progression in this race for the first time in a few laps at least, with Horridby certainly someone for the taking and will want to scrub a bit of dirt off of those tyres after going into the escape area. We have Revokes now out of the race. So the safety car has been deployed as Revokes in the Red Bull for the second race in a row crashes out of the Grand Prix. And look at the way that he has written off the left front of his Red Bull. And look how a season of promise starts to dismantle before our eyes. The safety car, like I said, has been deployed, and that means Slick's former advantage of 7.5 seconds is going to be slashed as he now comes into the pits. So Slick comes into the pits. Bills is going to stay out. So for the Merc on debut here in Formula Premiere, he's going to run out in front, and now Gupta has a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car. Just when an opportunity started to arise, the opportunity may have just faded away. He has a time penalty and a drive-through penalty to be served, and that is going to rip apart the script that was being set through an early race charge. Gupta, who is now down in P8 after making his pit stop, will have decent grip, mesmeric grip in fact, at this safety car restart. But has a time penalty, why do I keep on saying time penalty? A drive-through penalty to be served. But like I said, Bills is now the man out in front. And on debut, like I said here in Formula Premiere, he is imprinting his potential and has his chance to show what he is like out in front, with speed, with confidence and maturity. The man in silver is ready to show it all. Whilst we are under this safety car period, I'm just going to head off for a very, very brief break. But when I return, we will be back underway here at the circuit Gilles Villeneuve. We are about a third of the way through this Canadian Grand Prix, and we have a man on debut leading out in front. It's Bills for Merc. It's the Silver Arrows that are thirsting and searching for success here at the circuit Gilles Villeneuve. He's shown speed, he's shown racecraft. He battled past Lucas, past Hydrant, Horridby, and now he has the chance to lead out in front when the safety car does come into the pits at the end of, most probably, the end of the next lap. this man, the man in silver, has a chance to show his flair. So if we look at the big winners so far from this race, we're going to have to say Gilles. Despite his time penalty, he leads out in front after starting from the 4th row. Wiedebest gaining 10 places since the start, and although he is now running down in P5, Slick has had a brilliant start, and to pit and to be able to come out still in the top 5 proves the dominance and the speed that he has held over the competition. Bills leads from Lucas, then Hydrant's P3, Horrid B P4, then we have Slick, Kerdre, Wiedebest, Gupta, the J-Lol and Tabula Storm rounding out to the top 10. We have a safety car here at the circuit, Gilles Villeneuve, which will be coming to an end very, very shortly. Revokes crashed out of the race with the exit of turn 5. Turn 5, and that wrote off his race, that wrote off his chances, and a weekend of misery starts to become a fixture. It was disappointment in Australia despite his podium finish. He looked so strong for so long. And Wiedebest now's out. What on earth has happened to Wiedebest? The Haas, who was running in the points, is now out of the race in a moment of benumbing, absolutely benumbing proportions. But our attention turns to the front, and we're back underway here at the circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Bill's leading on debut, and he has Lucas hounding him down. We have someone running offline through the final corner. It's Hydrant. Oh, that's a massive crash. That is an enormous crash down the start-finish straight, and it's Slick involved. The championship leader, who was looking to reassert his supremacy, has been caught up in a moment that curtails his supremacy. Dream fractures before our eyes. It is Slick, who is thirsting for prominence, destined for dominance, and now without it all, he stares down the depths of despair. A quake of drama has just erupted beneath the tarmac here in Canada. The race favourite, the man who started from pole and led the sprints, who won the sprint and led for so long. It's Slick, now out of the race as Barney Dog has seemed to lose his front wing. Gupta and the J-Lol now igniting in battle through the hairpin. A Kerdre off of the exit of the hairpin, seemingly bettering the McLaren. So it's a Kerdre ahead of Gupta, ahead of the J-Lol. But it's the drag race now towards the final chicane. You can see the J-Lol making an impression on Gupta and passing him with ease. Did the McLaren deliberately concede the place? I'm not sure, but he's now coming into the pits. As Lucas now taking the lead of the race, the Ferrari, the prancing horse, gallops to the front. The action is taking centre stage here in Canada. And this time, it is the turn of the Ferrari of Lucas to lead. It was Slick, then it was Bill's, and now it is Lucas. A different shade is emerging here at the circuit Gilles Villeneuve, and it's one that the Ferrari man seizes. This race has exploded. From nothing, from absolutely nothing, the contenders fall, and they fall as one. It's now Lucas leading out in front for Ferrari. It's Bills in second for Mercedes. It's Hydrant now third. It's a Kerdre fourth, it's the J-Lol fifth, Tabula Storm in sixth, ahead of Robbo Snipes. Curtis Chaos, after running at the back, is now in 8th place. He has disconnected from this session already, so that has thwarted his progress thus far. But on lap 16 of 35, it's Lucas at the front. And it is the Ferrari man's race to lose from here. Bill's behind, has a time penalty. The Ferrari man has track position and could a win be on the horizon. Lucas starting to eke out a gap to Bill's. We know DRS will not be in use, but the gap is straddling at around 1 second. Hydrant's still a distant off of Bill's. A Curdray not making an impression on the Red Bull, but the J-Lo in the Ferrari, seeing his teammate leading out in front, wants to join him at the sharp end through the casino hairpin now. The Alpine running ahead, but for how much longer? The exit is strong for the Alpine. A Curdray wanting to accentuate the upper hand he has over the J-Lo, but for how long will it stand? Into the final chicane. A Curdray still ahead, but the exit as he taps the wall may not be the best, but the J-Lo is not able to pounce. Train forms behind the man running in fourth place. The J-Lo and Tablet Storm both within reach of fourth place. Rubbish Knights joining them as well. Axel 8th, Hudgedog 9th, Curtis Chaos 10th. He's now rejoined this race and will want to rediscover his opportunities. Horrid B looks like he's without a front wing. It's going to slow him down. Barney Dog does not want to get involved in any shenanigans, but he does eventually pass the Alfa Romeo, who now has Gupta to contend with. And the McLaren 2 will hope that he does not write off his race in contact with the Alfa. We hope Gupta is able to get involved in any contact with Horrid B, but he could be a little bit of a threat going down this long back straight. Lucas still leads the gap as it's about 0.6 of a second, but what a wondrous exit the Mercedes gets as Hydrant now comes into the pits to get rid of his intermediate tyres. So Hydrant from the podium positions switching to another set of inters, which he hopes will run him to the end of the race if the conditions stay as they are. So we now have Tablet Storm ahead of Rubber Snipes, ahead of Axel, Pudgedog in 7th, Curtis Chaos 8th. And we are in a period of poignant change in this race. Slick led dominantly early on, but after being caught up in an incident down the start, finished straight at the safety car restart involving himself and Wiedebest. His championship advantage may start to drip. So down this long back straight, we know DRS is not in use, but Bills is still able to keep within a promising distance of Lucas, but off of the exit of turn 14, the rear was stepping out and he looked perilously close to contact with the wall. Thankfully he avoided it. The consequences are bubbling beyond. Out in front, the gap still at about half a second. Is that Curtis Chaos experiencing some troubles? He's dropped 2 places in a heartbeat. He is now down into 10th place. And now at the tail end of the points, Barney Dog looking to refigure and reconfigure his race. Now Horridly joins some drivers on the sidelines. He becomes our 4th retirement from this Canadian Grand Prix, and here comes Barney Dog. He wants to make an impression on Burton. He's not close enough, though, but he does tap the rear end of the AlphaTauri. Is the exit strong? It is, and racing towards the casino hairpin, the AlphaTauri is in front, but for how much longer? It's the outside line for Barney Dog. He opens up the apex of the corner. He can put down the power earlier, but still, the AlphaTauri runs ahead. Coming towards the quickest part of this racetrack, down the long back straight. No DRS in use, but 8th place is there for the taking for Barney Dog, who wants to pounce. And pounce prominently over the AlphaTauri. Now down the start-finish straight. As they start their 20th lap of 35 here at the Canadian Grand Prix, Burton still has the upper hand. And this exigent task in overtaking the AlphaTauri is one that is prolonged. Oh, and Barney Dog, the rear end's getting away from him. Curtis Chaos will look to blast past and they make contact. They do make contact. Barney Dog then into the rear of Curtis Chaos. Somehow they both keep it on the track. And after losing the rear off of the exit of turn 2, Barney Dog is now into the clutches of Guthrie. Taps the Haas again. Oh, he wants to escape. Damage there, Barney Dog. I think he has. But he got as close as you could have ever risked. He's down into 10th place. Gupta and Hydrant are now nose to tail. I think the Red Bull may have just tapped Gupta there. But Barney Dog back in the battle with Curtis Chaos. But Haas still ahead. Going into the casino hairpin. How late is he going to brake? Late enough to make contact once and twice with the Haas. They now run side by side. It's going to be a drag race down the long back straight and one that Curtis Chaos in a gasp looks to seize. But coming back is Barney Dog. Can he make an impression going into the chicane? I don't think he will, but again he brakes late. Again, he almost taps the Haas, but he manages to escape it. But Gupta with a mesmeric exit, now charging down the start-finish straight, side by side with the Mercedes. Silver versus orange, and it is a shade of orange that will eclipse the silver. Gupta now, off of the exit, will put down the power. Barney Dog is resisting the rigour that Gupta poses to him. Into turn 3, he brakes impossibly late, but it's a task too many for Barney Dog. Gupta sweeps past. And the measure of a champion is one seized there by Gupta as Hydrant then launches an attack on Barney Dog, and they tap each other. They tap into one another. Hydrant teasing a move and making it. With contact, with danger, but with consequence, and one that the Red Bull will gladly smile at. Bills now is closing back in on Lucas in the battle for the lead. This race runs deep. This battle runs deep. Could it be the turn of Bills to smile in this battle down the start-finish straight? He's going to juice the outside line into turn 1. The opportunity is there, and he's going to seize it with both hands. A sparkle of silver here at the circuit, Gilles Villeneuve. It's scintillation, it is sensation, and it is stunning from Bills. The glory and the greatness in collision and with consequence. It grants him the lead, it gives him track position, and the smile is worn with the man running in silver. What a beauty. Beauty brought to this blistering stage as Curtis Chaos now down in P13. Does he have damage? Perhaps. He may have gone for a spin through the first sector, and he is now down in P13 after starting from the front row. And it has been 22 tours of this circuit, Gilles Villeneuve, to forget. Dumbfounding, absolutely dumbfounding their Bills, who was running out in front, who was running in the lead. In a gasp, in a heartbeat, his race unravels. The thrills and the spills, from delirium to dejection, from the overtake at turn 1 to the gutting exit at the final corner. A lap of parallels, a lap of juxtapositions, from running out in the lead to crashing out of it. Heartbreak. Ineffable heartbreak there for Bills. This race has yet another twist, yet another variant of drama, and this tale knows no bounds. Lucas is back out in front, the J-Lo now up into second. It's a Ferrari 1-2 here at the circuit Gilles Villeneuve. It's crazy, it is confounding, and it's barely credible. Lucas now coming into the pits. The J-Lo will now take over at the very front. Tabulate Storm will also remain out on track. Robo Snipe staying out as well. Axel coming into the pits alongside Pudge Dog, and as the Aston Martin collided with the Alfa Romeo. We'll have to see. We could see debris flying off. I don't think... Well, I'm not sure if he made contact. Oh, and they got so close to each other coming out of the pits. But thankfully for the pair of them, it gives them no damage due to the nature of this game, ghosting away. It's Hydrant now up into P6, Gupta up into P5, Lucas P4, RoboSnipes P3, Tabulate Storm second ahead of the J-Lo. The front two started outside the top 10. On lap 24, they run out in front. Oh my, oh my, oh my. This has been astounding. This has been utterly thrilling. The changes of leads, the changes of tone, and the shades that come with it. We've seen Slick, we've seen Bills, both run at the sharp end, but they have fallen by the wayside here at a track notorious for its drama, and it hasn't ceased to deliver this time. So Gupta comes into the pits as well. That's going to cost him a little bit, whether he will come out ahead of Burton, it seems, due to the delta that the AlphaTauri has to abide by. So Gupta should be able to remain ahead. Well, this is closer than I thought it'd be, but no, the McLaren will remain in 9th place ahead of Burton and ahead of Barney Dog with a Kurdrade down in P12. But we start lap 25 and 35 here at the circuit Gilles Villeneuve with the J-Lo out in front ahead of Tabulate Storm and Robo Snipes. The safety car may just be coming into the pits at the end of this lap, so it seems that we will have 10 laps to the checkered flag. This has been Formula Premier at its very best. How many changes? Just how many changes have we seen in this race? Sublime to the absurd. Everything in between. From desolation, from jubilation, and to the lead that the J-Lo has. We have 10 laps to the checkered flag. It's the Ferrari looking to win it from here. Can he do just that? We're back underway here at the circuit Gilles Villeneuve. The J-Lo leading from Tabulate Storm, leading from Robo Snipes and Lucas. We have Pudge Dog, it seems, trying to make an impression on Axel going into turn 1. They touch each other once, they touch each other twice. The Aston Martin, though, still in the battle. The grip looking good for the Aston Martin. Oh, the hydrant! losing the rear of the car, smacking the wall and out of this race. The two bulls have landed in the barriers in this race. He lit up the rear tyres, did Hydrant. And this race of rigour and of rawness has ended prematurely for both sides of the Red Bull garage. Hydrant adding little to his points tally since his victory on the first weekend of the season. Revokes, also on the sidelines, 2 retirements for him in a row. And in the first lap of this safety car restart, a chance came and a chance went for the Red Bulls. Tablet Storm, remember, he does have a time penalty, so too does the J-Log, but the exit off of the final corner is just sublime. He's almost shoving the Ferrari down the start-finish straight. Which line does he choose into turn 1? He thinks about the outside. Can he maximise it? No. There before him is the race lead. It's tangible. It's teasing, but it's not his. It's not his just yet. He now falls into the clutches of Lucas, who is coming alive in this race. The pride of Italy, the hopes and ambitions of every little boy and every little girl waving their flag. It's a flag that is drifting and rippling in the wind here in Canada. But will it be lifted at the end of this race? You can see Gupta passing Pojdog, and Pojdog into the wall just a few corners ago is into the wall again. He has lost his end plate from his front wing, and that is going to cost him performance and time in these closing laps. Barney Dog there battling past Curtis Chaos. They are now side by side as a drag race down the long back straight. Curtis Chaos trying to get a slipstream there from Burton ahead. He gets it. And is he able to remain ahead of Barney Dog going into the chicane? No. Barney Dog seizing the place. A Kurdrake now looks to pass the Haas as well. And in a race of potential and promise, is extinguishing from the Haas's hopes. Here is Lucas, currently in P3 on younger intermediate tyres. Well, not just younger, significantly younger intermediate tyres. And with no time penalty to be served, you must admit, he is the race favourite. But from this race, we have discovered everything, simply everything that's been written in the book, that has ever been written for drama and action. Lucas thinks he stands a chance. Will the chance be taken? Gupta currently in P6, just over half a second behind Axel in the battle for 5th place. Lucas still keeping within touching distance of Tablet Storm down the start-finish straight, but he is unable to make a move going into the first corner. He's trying to open up the line through turn 2, he's trying to cut underneath the McLaren, but a move is not coming about. And this task of staring down the rear wing of the McLaren stretches yet more corners, yet more yards of frustration for Lucas. He knows the chance that is there. It lays before him. But can it be seized? Remember, his teammate who leads out in front has a 3-second time penalty, but he is chipping away at that. Corner after corner. The pass has to be made by Lucas if he thinks he can win this race. But when does it come about? When does this moment emerge and explode? He now has Robbo Snipes lurking in behind. Lap 29 of 35 here at the circuit Gilles Villeneuve. The JLL leads by 2 seconds. Tablet Storm is the meat in a Ferrari sandwich and is also the barrier to Lucas's hope. 6 more laps here at the Canadian Grand Prix. And it is the JLL still leading. It seems like Leclerc has passed Barney Dog, so the Mercedes may have just gone for a venture through the final chicane. Nonetheless, he is down in P10 and is the last of the point scorers at the moment. Axel may very much be in the fight for a podium place as well, but as Lucas has proven, making a move, even in this stage of the race, when the cars are that much lighter, is such a tricky task. The Alfa Romeo could just end up on the podium, and after a gallant effort, he started in 15th place. There is still opportunity to be found. Let us not forget the J-Lo and Tablet Storm also both started outside the top 10. They run first and second here in Canada. That Lucas could be the thorn in both of their sides. As Burton, it seems like passing a Leclerc. They're running side by side, the Alpine using some energy, using the horsepower in that car to run ahead of the AlphaTauri, but going into the chicane, who's going to break later? It's going to be the Alpine. You can see the Aston Martin ahead, struggling. That affords Burton a chance to run around Leclerc and up into 8th. And you can see their Pudge is without a front wing, so he's going to lose performance going into turn 1, and Burton will hope not to trip over the Aston Martin. It seems like Axel has passed Robbo Snipes, but in this battle, it looks like Burton does run ahead of Leclerc. Going into the chicane, he wants to dispense of the Aston Martin, and she doesn't do that just yet. And Leclerc is waiting in the wings to make the move on the AlphaTauri, and Barney Dog there making the move on the Alpine. Opportunism and delight for the Mercedes, who passes Leclerc. Pudge Dog still ahead of Burton, but for how much longer? Going into the chicane, the AlphaTauri down the inside. Oh my word. That could have been a front wing being sliced off the AlphaTauri there. But still Burton in this race. But behind Pudge Dog still. Off the exit now. You will think that Pudge Dog will come into the pits at the end of this lap. He should be quite slippery in a straight line without that front wing, because he is going to come into the pits. And Burton will be able to claim 7th place. No, the Aston Martin's remaining out on track. Oh my, and there's Burton hitting the wall, lighting up the rear tyres and looking to steal 7th place. In a moment of frustration, it gets away from him. So Barney Dog is now the new challenger behind the Aston Martin. Out in front, Tablet Storm is closing the gap to J-Lo. Oh, look how much these drivers are struggling. They're searching for the grip and it's not coming about. Barney Dog has now passed Pudge Dog, it seems, around the outside. He's made the move, and then Burton down the inside of Pudge Dog. He wants to make the move on not one, but 2 drivers, or he's forced to the outside. Barney Dog's having absolutely none of it. Pudge Dog is in this battle as well, takes to the grass, hits the wall, and repasses the AlphaTauri. He is proving a barrier to Burton in this moment. And they're going to rage on towards the casino hairpin. Down the inside goes the AlphaTauri. He taps the side of the Aston Martin. Oh my word, they got so close to race ending. Damage their Pudge Dog, then taken to the grass and having to acquiesce the place to the AlphaTauri. Into the chicane now. Is the Aston Martin going to come into the pits? Still no. That's, well, is opportunism there from Pudge Dog, but the J-Lo still leading. His gap is standing at 0.8 of a second. Lucas is settling for P3 on the road, knowing that if he remains within 3 seconds of his teammates, he will take the race win. But his speed has just not come about. He's very much within the clutches and has fallen within the clutches of Axel. Could there be one final twist in the tail confounding proportions, this race has swayed and drifted here and there. In the final couple of laps, who can finally confirm their upper hand? It's the J-Lo out on track. It's Lucas once the time penalties have been applied. Ferrari are set for glory. But at this track, which has seen races being decided on the final lap, think back to 1991 and 2011. Could it be in 2023 here in Formula Premiere that the unthinkable does just happen? J-Lo still leading out in front, and it's Barney Dog. It is Barney Dog who has brought out the yellow flags off of the exit of turn 2. He loses his stronghold on the final points paying position. You can see Postdoc still struggling out on track without his front wing, but is still maintaining his place inside the top 10. Curtis Chaos is forming a challenge behind him. Oh, it's cool. It was a task. It was a taxing task. But it got the better of him in the end. With force and ferocity, the Aston Martin finds the concrete wall and out of the race. On the penultimate lap, another challenger falls. We are left with 10 on this final lap, which is starting to get going here at the Canadian Grand Prix. Lucas cannot afford to lose half a second on the final lap of this race. He's on tyres that are infinitely superior to his teammates. But he's struggling to mount a challenge out on track. It's the J-Lo that leads, it's Tablet Storm that is second, but it's Lucas who is in the prime position to take race victory. But he does not want it snatched from him, not this late. There is a first time for everything. And for Lucas, who is yet to taste success on this Formula Premiere stage, he has been chancing it. We have seen the speed that he has showcased through the first 2 races of this season. But as the rain fell on the circuit Gilles Villeneuve and as challengers drifted away, the chance has been there for Lucas to seize, and the chance is there for him to take. Through the final corner, as the J-Lo will cross the line first, it is going to be Lucas Ferrari who delivers race victory, and it is a 1-2 for the Scuderia. The flag of Italy ripples and reverberates in the Canadian sky. It's rooted into another country, into another track. It's circus to supremacy. And for Lucas in Formula Premiere, the echoes of the Italian national anthem will be heard. What an effort from those drivers in a race of unbelievable attrition. In the end, it was him that succeeded. What a race that was. You cannot register the drama that was delivered. We have seen in the last 35 laps Formula Premiere at its best. And for Lucas, soak it in. Just soak it in. Driving his way to the podium. The trophy is held aloft for Lucas, and it's his Canadian Grand Prix. And there you can see the final result. Let's just skip to the bottom so you can see. So our non-finishers: Revokes, We The Best, Slick, Horridby, Bills, Hydrant, Pudge Dog. And our points scorers: Burton, Barney Dog, Curtis Kelter, Kerdre, Robbo, Snipes, Gupta, and Axel. And our podium finishers: Tablet Storm, the J-Lo, and Lucas. It's a 1-2 for Ferrari, people. It's a 1-2. The most fabled name in motorsport is primed for success, finally, in Formula Premiere. It's their first win in Formula Premiere for many a season. And it's Lucas who has delivered for them. The J-Lo also, in his home race, finishing in second place. We thought Horridy would be the leading contender for Ferrari and for Canada. But the J-Lo will stand on the podium and become the first Canadian driver to stand on the podium in a Canadian Grand Prix since Gilles Villeneuve. What a race. What a race. And if you enjoyed that, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you come back for more. We will return when Formula Premiere returns next week. Frankly, I don't know where. But you'd be crazy to miss it. So make sure you do return for when we return next week. Enjoy your Saturday, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy your weekend and endure in what has just happened. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, goodbye.